Have you ever felt alone on your journey? Discover how focus and determination can transform your life, even when the world seems to be against you. Listen to Tito's beautiful message and prepare for an inspiring story that will change your understanding of challenges and victories.
Don't let what others have done to you bring you down. Your path is yours, keep moving forward, even if the world opposes you. Victory is possible, even in solitude. Persevere, for you are the sole architect of your destiny. Persist without letting discouragement take hold, for victory is yours. You are responsible only for your own actions. Are you ready to discover how this message applies in practice? Follow the story that Apollo will tell next and see how perseverance can change everything.
In the vastness of a great city, where the sound of horns and the rush of passers-by dictated the rhythm of the days, lived Lucas, a young dreamer trapped between the harshness of reality and the lightness of the ideal. His heart pulsed for writing, but the pages of his life seemed to be filled only with rejections and uncertainties. His apartment was a modest refuge, hidden among the gigantic buildings that scratched the sky. The space was small, but his soul found vastness in the stories that filled the makeshift shelves and the notebooks piled on the always chaotic table. The early mornings were his accomplices. Between sips of cold coffee and the distant sound of cars, Lucas wrote. His words were his resistance, his way of shouting to the world that his voice existed. But the world seemed deaf. The rejection letters piled up like silent witnesses to an unequal battle. Publishers responded, "We are not interested at the moment." They said it in the most diverse ways, cold words that cut like blades. His family, though loving, saw his struggle as a youthful mistake, a deviation from the security that a traditional job could offer. "Lucas, you need to think about the future," his father would say, with eyes full of concern. "Writing doesn't pay the bills. Why don't you try something safer?" These words echoed in his mind every time he closed his eyes, turning into persistent shadows. What if they were right? What if his vocation was nothing more than an illusion? The antagonist of his journey was not just the publishing industry, but the very fear that, little by little, tried to subjugate him. Doubt made the days heavy, but there was something Lucas wouldn't allow to die, the flame of hope. Every day, despite the uncertainties, he sat at his desk and wrote. He paid no attention to what they did to depreciate his activity. He didn't care about the malicious comments. The silence of the publishers or the incredulity of so many others didn't matter. With faith in the Lord, he believed that words were his calling. It was then that an unexpected letter arrived. Different from the others, this one didn't bring a no, but a possibility. A small independent publisher had read his manuscript and saw potential in his work. However, there was a condition. The text needed significant revisions and the deadline was tight. Fear returned with force. What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail again? But something inside him, a voice stronger than doubt, whispered, "Try." Lucas plunged into the work with a feverish intensity. The words, once hesitant, now flowed like an untamed river. Night after night, he rewrote chapters, cut sentences, polished characters. The outside world disappeared. Only he and his story remained. The nights became even longer. Coffee, once a pleasure, turned into fuel. The pressure was crushing, the deadline merciless. The phone rang with messages from family asking when he would give up on that illusion. Anxiety began to weigh him down, turning his days into a silent struggle. On one particularly difficult night, Lucas faced the mirror and saw not just a tired face, but a spirit fighting to stay standing. "Lord, did I do the right thing in following this dream?" he murmured, feeling tears threaten to fall. Silence answered, but in his heart something remained firm, the certainty that his story was not yet over. The deadline arrived. With trembling hands, he sent the revised version. Days passed in agonizing silence, until an email brought the answer: the book would be published. The news was not just a relief, but a validation. For the first time, the world recognized his voice. When he held the first printed copy, he felt the weight of every tear shed, of every sleepless night. His name stamped on the cover was more than an achievement. It was a testament that dreams are not fragile when sustained by faith and effort. The reviews were positive. His book began to be noticed, and with it, his story of persistence. But Lucas knew that the true triumph was not just in the publication, but in the journey. He learned that a dreamer's great battle is not against the world, but against their own disbelief. Faith in the Lord and in his purpose was his fortress. He understood that, just as Joseph, who was sold as a slave and thrown into oblivion before becoming governor of Egypt, moments of adversity are just chapters before elevation. If you have ever felt the weight of failure, remember, faith and perseverance can transform your story. The world may doubt you, but God never doubts the purpose He planted in your heart. And it is in that purpose that true victory lies. Lucas realized that his journey was just beginning. The publication of his first book opened doors, but also brought new and desired challenges. The literary world was vast and competitive, and staying relevant would require more than talent. It would require determination and resilience. Invitations for interviews began to arise, and for the first time, he found himself facing readers who identified with his words. Young aspiring writers approached him, sharing their own struggles, their doubts and fears. Lucas felt deeply touched. He had been in that place before, feeling uncertainty erode his dreams. Now, he could be a voice of encouragement for those who, like him, refused to give up. But like every new phase, this one also brought difficulties. The pressure for a second book was intense. The fear of failure resurfaced. What if I can't repeat the success? What if all this is just luck? The same questions came back to haunt him. It was then that he remembered why he started writing. It wasn't for fame or recognition, but because there were stories inside him that needed to be told. He understood that true success was not in sales figures or positive reviews, but in the ability to keep going, despite the difficulties. Lucas returned to his work desk, as he always did. Now, with a renewed conviction. He knew that his journey would continue to have obstacles, but he also knew that every word written was one more step towards the realization of his purpose, with the blessings always present in his work. Because we need to take the first steps so that the Lord knows where to lead the dreamers who do not give up. They persist, learn, and above all, continue writing their own story. Have you ever wondered how faith and perseverance can transform your life? Keep watching to find out by listening to what Tito found in the Word of God to support this inspiring story.
Lucas's innermost desire, relying on the Lord, is to be a writer. He has the yearning to express himself authentically, to be heard and seen by an audience that understands his ideas. He always seeks to create something meaningful, something that can impact, move, or teach people. We gain confidence from these three passages. The first is Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and one He will make straight your paths. This passage reminds us of the importance too of trusting in God and not just in our own understanding. Lucas, by trusting in his dream and persevering, showed faith in his path, even in the face of difficulties. When we follow this path of trust and acknowledgement, God promises to guide us and make our path straight, that is, to bring wisdom, direction, and resolve any obstacles that may arise. Let's look now at Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up. 3. Perseverance is essential to achieve our goals. Lucas did not give up, even in the face of rejections, and he reaped the rewards of his hard work. In due season we will reap. God has a perfect plan and a right time for all things. What we do in the name of good is not in vain, and in the right time the Lord will bring the harvest. In this third passage, we have the voice of the prophet in Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. I can do all things through him who strengthens me, for is a famous phrase written by the Apostle Paul that can be read in the Bible, in Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. In this phrase, Paul expresses that nothing is impossible for him with the help of Jesus Christ. And he invites us to think the same way. With faith and determination, we can overcome any challenge. Lucas found strength in his belief and achieved his dream, even when everything seemed impossible. Have you ever felt strengthened by faith in times of difficulty? Keep watching to ponder with Apollo in his reflection on Lucas's story and how these lessons can be applied in your life.
Lucas's story shows us that perseverance and dedication to our dreams can lead us to unimaginable places. Even when the world seems to be against us, it is important to remember that we are the sculptors of our own destiny. Each rejection, each challenge, is an opportunity for us to grow and strengthen ourselves. Lucas could have given up after so much advice and so many rejections, but he chose to continue. He believed in the Lord's action in his dream and worked tirelessly to achieve it. And in the end, he knew that victory is possible, even in solitude, as long as God protects him. You too can apply these lessons in your life. Don't let difficulties discourage you. Trust in your path and keep moving forward, even when everything seems lost. Remember that you are responsible only for your own actions and that victory is yours if you persist. Reflect on your own struggles and challenges. How can you apply perseverance and faith in your daily life? What steps can you take today to get closer to your dreams? Remember that every small action counts and that, in time, you too will reap the rewards of your hard work. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope that Lucas's story has inspired you to never give up on your dreams, regardless of the challenges you face. Seek help from the Lord and remember that perseverance and faith are your greatest allies. And if you enjoyed this video, we need to remind you. In the next video, we will again explore another stimulating story that will motivate you even more. Don't miss it. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss our future reflections. Your comments are very important to us. Leave your opinion about Lucas's story and share your own experiences of perseverance. We are grateful for your presence here and hope that you will continue with us on this journey of growth and inspiration. Be sure to check the description of this video, where we will leave notices and additional reading material for you when available. Until next time. Every connection is valuable. If this video touched you, there's a next step waiting. A new reflection, a new viewpoint could be just a click away. Thank you for being here and for joining us on your journey.